So I have two ponderous thoughts of today. One is that man is in a race against his own creations, which are against nature. Every part of that statement is accurate. And the other one is just a random thought. I wonder if AI is responsible for the biblical texts. Because I've been reading them, and there's a broken logic in the texts. And it's the same way where a human can identify where there's a missing ingredient, where AI cannot yet, or maybe never will, be able to identify this missing ingredient in logic, where they'll give a dualism to their statements. Almost like these people who talk out of both sides of their mouth. And if you pay attention, you will capture that they have said something in the opposite direction. So it makes you wonder like what their true agenda is when they speak this way. But they're definitely speaking in dual speak and dualism with split, personalities. So it's not integrity. It's not made of integrity, and it's very identifiable if you simply read the source. If you listen to people talk about things, this is one thing I'm learning as I've grown more experienced. If you listen to people talk about things versus actually going to the source and digesting the information, you will get a different perspective. So really you should have an idea of the world, and you should have an idea of critical thinking and of root cause analysis and of cause and effect, and perhaps some perspective on things. But then beyond that, you definitely should check out the source. It's like that thing of hearsay and gossip. Will we ever know what happened in history? Will we just hear other people's versions all the time? Will we ever know what the future will be? Will we just hear gossip? So as I've grown older, I've also noticed the truth in actuation. One more thought is that I think the way to actually improve the world is trickier than people realize, not only because of the dilemmas in the processes of the life cycles of people, but also because the trick to improving the world is kind of improving your condition. But if improving your condition makes someone else's condition go foul, that's a problem. But what I was going to say is, if people really wanted to change the world in a positive way, let's say as a whole, using that word very loosely, they would have to actuate genuine care. I figured that out this morning. So in other words, it can't be about money. So we're headed towards a world where the money holds less and less integrity, and I'm not sure what's going to happen after it finally reaches the precipice of that issue. So, you have to really care about what you're doing. And people will be motivated through money to do a lot of things they don't care about doing. And that's been the way of the empirical private sector run world that runs on materialism for a very long time. And some people care about that kind of stuff, whereas other people go along to get along and get kind of buried in the mischief and the corruption and the swamp of these layers upon layers of dependencies that are created through this artificiality in the man-made world. But when you really touch base with what you care about again, you could actually improve the situation by doing something. So that's the trick also. That's another reason that the biblical texts are all totally nuts, because if you read any of them, they always say you've got to take care of yourself, but don't do anything because God will take care of it. So this is an example of there's a full stop on the logic right there. And if you keep going, it's like dealing with a retardation, to use the word. I hate to use it, but I have to, because it's like dealing with a thing that is not going to ever make sense. And you're going to be fighting a battle that's going to become a quicksand. And so it's similar to like how humans have tried to create habitats, and everything we do to create the habitat goes back to this initial point that I was making, which is everything becomes the burden of the person who's trying to improve their condition, and they kind of take on a responsibility. And this is sort of the plight of humans, really, to figure all this stuff out. Now, as I've grown older, I've also seen now, there's a karmic response to the things that we do that comes at us in very strange ways over very long periods of time. So part of the trick is understanding the reactions and the lack of reactions and the delayed reactions from the things that we do. Now, ultimately, my grand theory of everything is not so pretty. I believe that nature divides to survive. And I believe that's about it. And I believe that trying to find the logic to that is the same as trying to drive yourself bananas. So I think the only thing you can really try to do, and this is to have an enjoyable experience in your life. But it's against the odds because of the division quality of nature, and some may call that corruption. And so, you're just going to have to either want that in your life and try to pursue things that cause that against the odds, or you're just not there in that place and time, so you don't care about these kinds of things. Maybe you're in a better place. Good for you. So I'll wrap it up here, and those are some random things I was thinking about today.